regardless of what he was kind of picking into. So we'll see what Weibo kind of change up. This time around, they are going to focus in towards that jungle and say, look, Aki, we don't believe you should be getting that one there. They are going to be back on the blue side. So do they keep the same kind of Zeri priority? That is the question. Or do they swap out their pick towards that Yuumi instead?
Yeah, I really like this priority in terms of narrowing down the jungle pool for WeiboGaming right now, because they can just pick away the Vi. And Aki, without these 3 champions, I think does lose a bit of his identity, where he's not able to find those angles onto the side lane and play alongside Cream. So it is going to be a big challenge for him, as Emilio does get taken away by OMG here. So it is going to get the insta-lock from WeiboGaming, potentially even an Ahri as well, which double denies the side of OMG.
They banned away the Yuumi themselves because they want that Vi. They want to be able to get that one. That means the K'Sante is left open. So, I mean, again, K'Shanji, something he is so exceptionally powerful on, so that he feels that he can make such massive impacts with. And that's a no-brainer in my head for the side of OMG to kind of pick that one up, lock that one in for your team. And honestly, they go for the Viego here as well. Maybe they want to go try and get their AD carry in a little bit earlier, but I'd be happy with them to go to the Viego, maybe get their AD carry in later.
I wouldn't mind a Nocturne either from Aki, as we saw the Nocturne do wonders in the previous series, but it does seem like they're going to default to the Aphelios Jinx matchup in this bottom side. I wouldn't be surprised if they just default to that. I have a question. So, do you think OMG will ever flex this K'Sante to Cream? I mean, think
maybe.
So. Every time they lock in the K'Sante, it's always for Shanty, so...
I mean, it's kind of one of those things. It's like when Uzi was on RNG years ago. It's like, yeah, you can focus in on Uzi. You know he's going to do these things. It doesn't change the result. He's still going to be able to do all the things he wants to do. So even though this is probably almost certainly going over to Sanji in that top side, you know it is, but you don't. It doesn't matter that you know, because it doesn't matter what they leave open for, and he's going to be confident to take it. Now, I imagine a Sion ban, maybe even an Ornn ban coming in here for OMG to try and really put pressure on top of Weibo. But no, they're going to try to put pressure onto Xiaohu, get rid of his Talia and his Syndra, showing that, look, when Xiaohu doesn't have these very staple picks that he's been comfortable on for so many years, Xiaohu just didn't really have an impact.
Yeah, Xiaohu is a very big initiator for the side of WeiboGaming, and that is going to be the Tilly taken off and away from the mid laner. But my biggest question is that, is OMG going to ban out their own Ahri coming into this game too? Because we haven't seen Cream play anything else outside of this for the summer so far. But my next question is it going to be Nocturne and Ahri together, where they're going to be able to find these picks onto the side lane once again, and you're just giving a lot of comfort over to OMG in this game too, and that's exactly what they thrive off. While on the other hand, WeiboGaming, they have the Lucian and Nami, and I'm gonna be real, I think Lucian and Nami is a big bait pick that we have in the LPL. Lucian and Nami, you'd much rather the Millia with the Nami. You just don't have enough damage compared to what it used to be with the Electrocute. And once you don't pull the trigger early on in the game, the Aphelios is just gonna scale for free. So hopefully this time around, Weiwei on the Vi, he's gonna force a lot of plays towards that top side, bot side.
And the Annie banned away as well. You see so many mid lane bans, 5 in total coming out here now. So Xiaohu and Cream kind of digging deep in the champion pools. See what they want to try and go for. I actually might not mind a Sylas pick in here for OMG if they wanted to try and combo in with a Sejuani. We've seen it once or twice there, but they go with the Nocturne. You mentioned it a little bit earlier there, so they get themselves a little bit of a dive buddy with that K'Sante to be able to try and isolate someone and take them out.
Now, what is the Shy going to respond to the K'Sante? Because I think it is just going to be a sound lock-in for the Shy. He does do extremely well when it does come to those 5v5s in the mid-game skirmishes, so I wouldn't be surprised if they lock it in here, as Xiaohu has to blind his mid-champion. It is going to be the Gragas potentially. They can't even go mid lane, but I would much rather Xiaohu to pick something like the Syndra, where he does have that AP threat. It is going towards the mid lane.
Okay, so
the Shy's gonna carry. Lock in the Gwen. Give us the Shy carry. Come on.
I was gonna say it's a maybe for the moment. They're still figuring it out, but the Shy on Gnar has had plenty of highlight reels. We're never gonna see the KL ever again, as he's still holding on to that flash from many years ago. But they're gonna get the Gnar. So Gnar in that top side, not quite a carry, but can have an impact up in that top lane.
It is going to be the Gragas for the mid lane, and just looking at Weibo's roster, not the biggest fan so far. A lot of CC and Engage, but do you have the damage to make up for it when you compare it to OMG's roster for now? It is most likely going to be the Cassante mid lane, and it is going to be the Rumble for the final pick for Shandy in that top lane. So he's gonna fight fire with fire and pick out his iconic champion. And overall, OMG, they are on so many comforts, while on Weibo, it's all up to Light.
Yeah, I mean, like, you're looking at this composition from Weibo and you're going to say, yes, absolutely, plenty of engage, plenty of great ways to kind of isolate and kind of, you know, take out team fights with the tidal wave, the Gnar ultimate, and of course the explosive cast. But as you mentioned, you're relying a lot on this Lucian for your burst damage in those big ton of team fights, or at least your consistent damage, I should say, in these team fights. Whereas OMG, they've got themselves so many ways of kind of getting onto your backline, getting onto this Lucian, the Cassante all out, into the Nocturne Paranoia. You get an equalizer down there as well. Going to be a lot of things being thrown here at this Lucian, and OMG, they're going to be happy with the way things have gone. And you asked if whether or not this Cassante could be flexed, and the answer is yes, it can.
Yeah, Cream is going to be debuting his Cassante in that mid lane, so a lot of expectations towards this player for this game too, but we all know and love Shandy's Rumble in that top lane, and he's feeling confident as ever, as we have it as a response to the Shy's Gnar. But coming into this game too, we have Gnar, Vi, and Gragas for that top side, so not a lot of damage when it comes to those mid-game skirmishes. And if they don't play towards this Lucian in the early game and get Light ahead, then it's criminal for Weibo.
A lot of pressure now on Light's shoulders to be the carry of this game. We'll see what the Shy could do with the Gnar. Definitely a staple of some of the highlights he's had in the more recent years. I've seen a couple of 2v1s where he's coming out with 2 kills with this particular champion. But the way this champion has gone in recent days is that in that mini Gnar form, it just feels like it's kind of taken so many hits, so many small little nerfs that have just made it so vulnerable in a lot of different situations. But we'll have to wait and see. OMG 1-0 up in this series, looking to get themselves a 2-0 and get themselves their first win of the series, and potentially give Weibo their first loss of the series as well.
A lot of chaotic dials for the side of OMG, but just looking at a scan of all these summoner spells, OMG knows that WeiboGaming is going to put all their eggs into the bottom side basket, with the barrier coming out of Abel as well, trying everything in his little heart to deny those early kills going over to this Lucian. And a really good idea, to be fair, as I think WeiboGaming, they're on a really big time in this game, as they will eventually get outscaled in these team fights. Is this Shy lane swapping?
He is. They want to make sure that the Gnar is into the Cassante, and that's why we're seeing the Creams going up towards that top side. And they've actually been called out. They know straight away that Shanji said, "Look, we want this Gnar into the Rumble. That's how we want this lane to go, because it has so much priority in that regard." And this is the power of the flex. It's why they waited to the last pick there to get their last solo laner in, because they said, "Look, the Cassante technically could get countered, but we can just counter it back."
Yeah, OMG has a really good read of Weibo right now so far, especially with this draft going this way. A lot of flex picks, which is something that we all know and love, especially with LCK introducing the idea of Cassante mid lane, which hasn't been nerfed yet, which was a really big pain in the previous MSI patch. But my biggest concern is that now Xiaohu is put towards his top side, and he isn't able to kind of influence the bottom side matchup anymore, as he isn't an isolated matchup without that TP before the 14-minute mark.
And we'll say it is a small little thing as well, but it could be interesting to see how Cream and Xiaohu deal with this top side. I have a little bit more faith in Xiaohu taking this lane swap than I do Cream, because he obviously did lane swap and won an MSI as a top laner with RNG, but it is one of those things that because you're in a much longer lane in that top end, you end up kind of maybe overextending a little bit more than you anticipate, and small little differences that can lead to a little bit more of a bit of a bigger problem in the kind of grand scheme of things. But for the moment, we will wait to see how this actual lane phase goes. And I actually like the fact that the Rumble is kind of mid lane as such, because it now opens up for Shanxi to be able to roam bot, roam top, get off his equalizer in combination with that Paranoia, and you're kind of just burning in the dark then at that stage.
Yeah, and a really big point for this Rumble is that in the previous matchup, or in the previous series that OMG played against BLG, is that Shanty had a lot of kills, and he was very strong in this Rumble pick, but I need to shut up before they start going for this pick.
Yeah, there's Ignite down. Barrier was used, as was the heal, so 2 for 2 in the summoner trade. Wei now seen in that bottom half of the map. Aki straight off of spawn going to pick up this scuttle crab and get that one nice and easy for himself. Does have a smite should he need it, but Wei thinks the better of it and goes, nah, I don't think I'll go for that fight just yet.
Yep. 4 combat summoners traded for the bottom laners, but back to my original point was that Shanzi is very good on Rumble. We're all very sure of this, but in the previous series up against BLG, he wasn't able to really extend this lead and his influence around the entire map because of how top lane is an isolated matchup, and he wasn't able to look for those roams due to the game state. But this time it's a little bit different. With this Rumble being mid lane, he's more than happy to be there for those counter dives towards the bot side, which WeiboGaming is more than likely to do in this early game.
Well, Shanji not going to be able to contest this one. We'll see how the early game goes. As you say, we'll see what they're able to kind of do with the priority they may be able to have. The Gravidum and Infernum decent at kind of keeping this this Nami Lucian away, but with a flash, they're going to be burned. Ooh, just about gets away from the piercing light. If that lands, the double tap is almost certainly to follow, and now Abel might have to be using his own flash if he's not too careful. And yeah, you just have to wait for this wave to kind of push into you. Unfortunately there, you just don't have a way to kind of fight this Lucian Nami in the lane for the moment.
Yeah, and that's flash burn from PP God. So if WeiboGaming are smart about this, they will path towards this and abuse this fact and try to get gold into Light's pockets. But another kind of sign of weakness from OMG is I think PP God, he often gets himself in sticky situations where he is caught out of position, especially on these enchanters where you need to have very high expectations of where they're placing themselves in these team fights before they get one shot, which is why I'm such a believer in his Rakan. How we haven't really seen that unless all the enchanter supports are off the table.
It's actually interesting as well. We're seeing lane advantages, be it small, but they are small incremental advantages here for both the top and the mid, regardless of who's playing in them. And we'll see the Gnar TP towards that top side, so they're looking to try and get this reset off. And again, you can see why they do not want this Rumble to go up against the Shy, because the Shy knows that he's in so much trouble if he gets caught out at that level 6 point. So with that Ignite available, Shanji gonna see if he can maybe rotate up towards this top side now already and kind of just catch out the fact that they've gone for this early lane swap.
And we had a little peek of the bottom lane wave slow pushing towards WeiboGaming. So we already see Wei going into the lane and looking for a sneaky gank through these bushes onto PP God. Aki, he's level 4. He needs to be here very soon, as we also see Xiaohu making his way down here.
Yeah, they want to try and get this bot lane going, is exactly as you said. But I think Abel and PP God are very well aware now that Xiaohu's been spotted out that, hey, if Xiaohu's coming, Wei's probably not too far away. So they're definitely going to be able to try and catch him out on that one. Xiaohu now recognizing that he's a little bit caught out with this one here. Should be a 4v4 if a fight does end up going out. You want to try and reset this wave if you are on OMG. You want to try and push this one back. So you do have not the greatest of guns here for Abel. Wei still waiting patiently off to the side as they go all out now onto Xiaohu, who has the flash. Does he able to get away? I don't know if he can. They're going to flash in with the Q. The bubble is fantastic. And Chris picks up first blood. Wei patient and able to protect his mid laner.
Wei was sitting out of vision in the alcove that entire time, and when the opportunity arose, he went for the kill, and that is going to be first blood going over towards WeiboGaming and extra security around this dragon in terms of the vision. But really good stuff. Wei once again doing his thing, counter jungling and letting the enemy team fall into his traps. Really good start for the side of Weibo in this game too.
Really, really well done there. And again, it's just small little patience there, knowing that Wei was coming from behind. It meant that they could go for it. Xiaohu, I will say, does get caught, but they had the numbers to respond.
Yeah, Cream, he thought he found an angle onto Xiaohu, but the final Gragas ultimate just displacing a little bit and not having the follow-up damage to finish off this Gragas was the difference, and a really nice bubble to stop the Cassante from moving away. It is going to be first blood going into Nami's hands, but I'm not too mad about this because Imperial Mandate is still extremely strong. So her getting the 400 gold, really good stuff.
I also just noticed something because I heard an Ignite go down. I was like, wait, Nami has heal. Who has Ignite? It's actually Light who has Ignite. Yeah, Light has Ignite as he's lighting up his own world. We see a fairly decent trade in favor of the Weibo bot lane there as they look to try and just continue their dominance in this bot side. Just burn the heal off of PP God. But that's how aggressive Weibo need to be with Light now, knowing that he has got that Ignite, knowing that he needs to be the kind of the beneficiary of all these kind of pressure and stuff like that is that he needs to be the one getting these kills. Unfortunately, that Chris that picked up that kill, but look, getting her up to the Imperial Mandate, like you said, still going to be massively huge.
Not too bad, but it is going to be Aki picking up that Rift Herald as Weibo trades it for that first dragon. But if Aki just plops that top lane, which you already saw Shandy picking up 2 plates in the top lane tower, this rumble is going to become a slight issue for Weibo to deal with. But of course, we still are waiting for those item spikes for the Lucian and the Nami to really get things done across the entire map. No flashes available for the mid jungle, so it's going to be pretty hard for them to force anything. While Aki does have the ultimate, he also has the flash, so he can look towards either side lanes.
And obviously he can look towards either side lanes, as you mentioned, but I want to kind of pick your brain and say, like, where would he ideally be looking for now? We don't have a Rift Herald or a Dragon on the field, so where do you want to see OMG really try and like home in if they want to try and get an advantage?
I think at this moment, as Shanzi is just slowly winning the matchup in the top side very quietly, he can potentially just lean towards this bottom side and stop any ganks from Weiwei, as we see that all the junglers are hovering towards this bottom side. The Gragas cast ulted himself.
Yes. I didn't want to mention
friendly fire, I guess.
There isn't a Silas in this game. I had to triple check just to make sure. But Weiwei now in this bot side. Level 6 though, hit by PP God and Abel, both with their flashes available, makes this gank a little bit risky. Plenty to kind of come back, especially with green and white available to them. Paranoia now here for Aki, should he want to try and go for something a little bit more aggressive. But for the moment, you can see they're just very aware. They don't have priority. They don't want to push in too far unless they get caught out.
Abel's being extremely respectful right now, not walking up to this wave, as they do have a slight sense that Weiwei could potentially be in that bush once again, not trying to make the same mistake. I think Aki can just engage here and potentially burn a flash from either bot laner and play off this for the next dragon, but you already have Xiaohu and Weiwei making their way back in as Cream is missing.
Yeah, and they're going to see if they can land a bubble, but with no culling to kind of follow up onto this one here. Aki gets caught out on a ward. It's a great ward, that's what it is they now know that the Nocturne isn't here. And that's a huge moment now, because without that, with that information, they know they can kind of just stay here and wait for that kind of, you know, gank to happen should the OMG bot lane overextend. They are not going to do that, but they are going to give up more waves, more gold over to this bot lane, and Light and Chris having a much better time of it in this game than they were in game number 1.
Yeah, this is what you expect out of Illusion and Nami lane, getting this advantage very early on in the game, while Aki still has his Rift Herald in his pockets, and it does seem like they're going to do a slight lane swap for the Shy. Maybe an ultimate onto the Shy with the Gravitum available as well.
The flash immediately has to be used there. The Shy gonna lose that summoner there, because I feel like if he gets stunned up and then gets caught out, he's going to be caught out. I actually like this move here from OMG. They're kind of saying, look, we can't contest this bot lane, but we need to get more gold and resources into these Aphelios. We're going to drop it at the top side, because that's already got plenty of damage done to it. So 2 plates should be going over here now to Abel and PP God. Won't get the full tower just yet, but good defense here from Weibo means they're getting it. So OMG able to kind of go tit for tat. And this is something that OMG were very, very good at in spring. Something they were very good at was just kind of constantly kind of having a little bit more macro play. You know, not very high kill games. It's only been 1 kill so far in 12 minutes. But that's kind of the OMG style. They kind of adapted a much scrappier style in the playoffs comparatively to their regular spring split.
Especially when you have champions like the Aphelios and the Lulu that will work off scaling, while WeiboGaming, they're the ones on the timers and they're the ones feeling the pressure. You see Weiwei constantly trying to get something done on these side lanes, but they just don't have the setup currently because of how respectful Abel is playing on this Aphelios, which we saw him crack a little bit in game 1, but so far so good.
Weiwei's still here. And the pop down the culling to try and just get a little bit of damage.
Nice
good
bubble.
They're going to see they get the heal out of him. They do. They get the wild growth as well. This is before Weiwei can get in. He's going to try and get him on top of the tower, and he will, but Weiwei will lose his life because of it. The Lulu picks that particular kill up. Aki is here, but Xiaohu TP'd in as well with Cream. So both top laners kind of moving in on the bot side to try and see if they can maybe cover the mid lane, but that should mean the tower, despite the kill going over in favor of Weibo, OMG should be able to secure this particular objective.
Yeah, 1-for-1 trade going towards that, and Lulu picks up the kill at the very end and also forces the TP out of Xiaohu. Now WeiboGaming sitting on no TPs. I'm surprised that Aki wasn't hovering around, because we saw this entire game that Weiwei is only going to play around this Lucian and hover around Light for the early game, but when it mattered, he wasn't there, so of course the kill goes over to Weibo. Slight lead, but the dragon is going to be spawning in 15 seconds, and they don't have any ultimates available to contest.
That's the big thing. You did lose a hell of a lot there to try and make that play work. We'll have the tidal wave and the cooling off roughly around the same time. Actually, the cease and desist as well. So Aki does have the paranoia though, and that's kind of the bigger difference between these two teams right now. The engaged tools available to OMG definitely in their favor, but Xiaohu off to the side with a flash, with explosive cast. Does he look to try and get on top of Abel? He will. He's trying to be sneaky, but he doesn't really land it onto the priority target. Does get onto Cream, who has to flash away from the bubble. A lot of burn summoners there for the side of OMG. Don't know if they're going to be able to contest around this dragon. And Weibo finally looking like they found themselves a little bit of life in this series.
That was the angle for Xiaohu to get onto Abel, as he wasn't on vision, but Weiwei now has the ultimate available, so it isn't all bad hopes for WeiboGaming for this upcoming dragon.
Still have Aki with the paranoia and flash available to him. Wild Growth just came back off. The Moonlight Vigil going to be coming back very, very soon. They've got pressure in the mid lane, and you can see now that Weibo, they haven't gone for the dragon. Sorry, excuse me. They've only just sent the Vi to the dragon now. And it looks like OMG are just happy to let that one go. They'll probably lose bot lane tower as well in the rotation. They're just kind of saying, look, we don't have the item completions for the moment. We don't need to be able to kind of, you know, throw this game off of one small fight around a dragon that at the moment doesn't make the biggest difference.
Doesn't make the biggest difference, but they are going to be able to obtain vision for this Rift Herald, which does seem like it is going to be the next contested objective. But OMG getting rid of the Cassante and the Aphelios Flash is very big for Weiwei and Xiaohu to play off, as Xiaohu didn't need to burn anything outside of the cask. So this potentially, if Abel isn't too careful with his Lulu not near him...
Oh, he flashes in to get the explosive cast back up, but there's the Moonlight Vigil trying to keep him alive. He just can't do it. The paranoia was just a distraction from OMG, but I mean, this is the thing that I kind of talked about, is that Abel is one of those kind of carries that in game one looked exceptional, couldn't put a foot wrong. Game number two, just not really respecting the lack of vision, kind of moving forward to put himself in harm's way when he had a Lulu who, no offense, that's kind of their job.
Yeah, this Gragas is doing wonders to really stop Abel from having fun in this game too, and this is the big change up or switch around for WeiboGaming compared to that game one, is that in game one, Cream was constantly putting pressure onto Xiaohu, who was Lysandra, and he wasn't able to find any picks due to getting caught, but this game, he's free to do whatever, and Weibo's starting to slowly get the tempo on.
Aki is here, but does not have the paranoia. They do have a Mega Gnar available, so the Shy not going to get hit by the Dustbringer. Maybe they still commit to it. There's a good equalizer here. Doesn't actually do a huge amount for the moment. They are going to try burn him down as he goes into mini, but immediately Shanji gets hit by the Q flash from Weiwei. Flashes away, trying to make sure he can keep himself alive. And Aki hits the Stride Breaker, so Flash is burned on both sides, but at the end of the day, nobody dies.
You know, we'll take a 2 flash for 1 flash trade. The Shy is extremely lucky because he had his flash the second it was up. So if it was 1 second later, I think OMG secures that pick onto the side. But Weiwei being there for the counter jungle once again does mean that it is going to be 2 flashes traded for 1. As Light, he has the Gale Force now, so he can self-engage if Abel walks up too carelessly himself.
I mean, it's a nearly 40 CS lead in that AD carry role. Like, it's actually insane how much is there. Paranoia now available here for Aki if he does decide to want to go for this one here, but no Ignite, no Equalizer. It'll be very difficult to try burn down the Shy for the moment, but maybe they want to go for it just as he gets into mini. That would probably be the play if they do really want to try and make this one work. But again, they just want to wait a couple more seconds for that Equalizer to be back. That's the kind of key thing here. And here we go. They're going to go for it. There's a Stride Breaker to slow him down. They do get a good little bit of a fear down, but there's just no damage. And they're trying to keep going into this top lane. But, I mean, again and again, we're just seeing that why the Gnar is so good into something like this Rumble, because it can just keep itself safe.
I'm telling you, the Shy has mind-controlling abilities where it forces the enemy team to constantly gank against him, and he is very slippery with how these previous two have gone so far, where in return WeiboGaming does secure the tier 1 tower, and it will also mean that they can work their way towards that bottom side and also get that one as well, so they can just open up the entire bottom side, securing this Mountain Soul point vision.
Absolutely, a minute 30 till that Mountain Soul point does come up, so It's a 4,000 or just underneath, actually no, just over a 4,000 gold lead now, and I think a lot of it's got to be in that bot lane. That is a full Gale Force in the difference. Nearly 50 CS ahead is the solution. I know you said it was kind of a bit of a bait pick, but it has been working wonders for Light and Crisp in this particular game. Abel and PBGod just haven't been able to step up to them.
This is Lucian done right, when you're constantly forcing things to happen in the first 20 minutes before Aphelios gets those 3 items, and that is where you really shine, as now they're sitting on a 5k gold lead with the Dragon Soul point also spawning, which is going to be Mountain. So doesn't matter how ahead Shanty gets, you can't really burn through the Mountain Soul if you do give that over. Xiaohu, he's looking.
He's looking, but only tentatively for the moment. Has flash in a couple of seconds. May look for it after the fact as they do clear out that wave. Now the Shy going to run into Shanji, and the Shy's a level up. The Shy's got Triforce, so he is happy to take fights into Shanji for the moment. You can see on the top right of the screen, Shanji already half HP from just a small little excursion into the Gnar. So these are just going to be tougher and tougher right now. It just feels like OMG are waiting on the scaling game for the moment. They haven't really been able to find any kind of the big fights they wanted. They've tried, but it just hasn't been, you know, effective really in terms of taking out what Weibo have already built up for themselves.
And walking into this jungle is going to be extremely difficult for OMG as well, especially with no defensive items available on their end. So Vi just locks himself onto one of these players. They're going to get instantly one shot, especially for Abel. Xiaohu is consistently looking onto the backline.
Oh, there's a great explosive cast! Fantastic from Xiaohu, but now you're fighting into a little bit of a choke. They popped down the equalizer, the tidal wave was used, Paranoia not going to be taken. They gain the barrier, the flash, and the heal from OMG. They don't gain anything else. A lot of ultimates down now for both teams, but again, you just can't walk into the side. The Shy hadn't gone mega, so he still has that in the back pocket.
The Shy's just zoning out 4 people by himself, but that was a really good Everfrost coming out of Xiaohu, getting onto the bottom lane of OMG, also forcing Shanzi's ultimate, which was stopping WeiboGaming from starting this Mountain Soul, and now a Mountain Soul point, and now they obviously get the point, and they can move their vision to the Baron and start doing the exact same thing for this major objective.
Again, OMG is not able to find the fight they want. They're using all these engage tools so, you know, defensively. The Paranoia just to try and stop people from moving forward. The Equalizer, again, to kind of separate them off. It's not ideal for them to try and find this thing. And the thing is that unless they kill Light, there's not really a position for them to go for anything. But they're going to try and flip the Baron right away.
Shandy is still making his way there, so it is a 4v5 right now. We have the green and white for Abel.
TP over the top. They don't really have ways of getting anyone outside of this pit. PBGod on the backside. Here we go. They're going to jump straight in. They're going to jump straight on top of Abel. And it's going to be Aki going down. The bubble lands. And they cannot do anything about it. The tidal wave as well to make sure everybody gets washed upon the shore. And Weibo, I mean, look for OMG. God loves a trier. And it is definitely an attempt, but it's just, they're just too far behind. They had to go for something.
Yep, this Baron attempt was definitely a cry for help, as they were just trying to force something to happen. We have PBGod sitting on the other side of the wall as well. Shanji is making his way there, but there was just so much damage coming out of WeiboGaming. It wasn't enough as Aki gets instantly bursted, and Xiaohu follows up very nicely into this choke. And usually we call these the T1 Baron because you're so far behind, you're just going to force a 5v5 and hopefully win. Unfortunately, OMG, they got the shorter end of the stick, and now they are further behind.
For OMG, night and day comparatively to Game 1, but if Weibo finally came to play, it does feel like it is a game for Weibo to lose, shall we say, as the Shy finally gets himself a champion that he feels very, very comfortable on. Nothing he can really kind of, you know, do wrong in this particular game. They tried throwing everything in the kitchen sink at him, and it just was not enough. Light and Crisp getting much more priority in that bot side. Things that can be aggressive, that can make things work. And they're going to try and make a fight happen right here, right now. The explosive cast separates everybody out. And even when you throw everything in the kitchen sink at you and you still come out with nothing, it's just not going to be enough. The Shy trying to see if he can get his Mega Gnar in just before he goes mini. Flash forward by Shanji as he goes into the overheated mode, the all-out to separate the Cassante away. Double kill coming in here for Light, and honestly, this could just be the game right here, right now.
It really does seem like the games as the solo laners of OMG are now down with the Baron buff, and the TP is coming in from Xiaohu as well. I'm not too sure if they're going to just settle for inhib and also the bottom side inhib, but it does seem so. The game is just going to go on for a little bit longer.
A little bit longer, but it's definitely not going to be a good spot here for OMG. They've just not had a way to get into this game whatsoever. 2 inhibitors will be falling. Not a single tower taken by OMG in this game. Didn't even get a dragon. Did he get a Rift Herald? I don't. Yes, they did. I believe they got a Rift Herald top. But like outside of that and 2 kills, not near perfect coming out here from Weibo.
I would love to get a replay of that previous fight because Shandy was desperately trying to get his hands onto Light, and we do get a replay. So this whole thing starts off with OMG being the ones that initiate, but Light plays with his spacing so incredibly well, where the melee champions of OMG's composition is just struggling to get their hands onto the carries of this Lucian, while the Shy, he's just being a little bit of a decoy on the side. But look at Light, they try to go for him again, but he just dashes away so perfectly once again. So OMG, they're running out of options, and it does seem like WeiboGaming working towards that top side now as they suffocate OMG's base.
I mean, the thing is that the Shy can stay here. He's got a Hull Breaker available to him, so he can just kind of put the pressure on the tower. He'll melt it in no time at all. And while that's happening, mid lane, bot lane, all being pushed in by super minions. You're going to have to deal with this now on the side of OMG. You're going to be so much pressure around you from all sides. Then you're a full rapid-fire cannon behind your enemy AD carry. You haven't finished off a second item pretty much on anybody else on the side of OMG apart from your own AD carry. So you're going to need a god tier play or a massive throw from Weibo for you to try and come back into this one.
You need a 5-man Rumble ulti.
Oh, they're going to go for a 2-man one. They're trying to burn down the Nami, but cannot do it. Aki going a little bit too far forward and will be punished for his aggressive streak. And that means that the tower is still going to stay alive, though, for the moment. A good flash away by Weiwei. The base is getting destroyed. This is what I was talking about. There's Xiaohu trying to go in on top of the AD carry. The Shy taken very, very low, but he'll take out Shanji before he dies. He won't even die. And Light just zooms in to take out the rest of the carries. It's only Cream and BB God, and the base is being battered by minions. We're going to a game 3.
And for tonight, no one expected this series to go to 3, but WeiboGaming, they come back in this game through Xiaohu's picks and through Weiwei going for those constant counter jungles. And OMG, they're going to get wiped.
Dominant game from OMG in game number 1. A dominant win from Weibo in game number 2. We come into a game number 3 not really knowing where either team really kind of lands themselves in the grand scheme of where they should be winning or losing. But Weibo